WJG Sports. We journal great.
What's
going on, everybody? Welcome to the Just Like Brothers podcast, episode 57. We are here with a very special guest, doing only his third podcast ever. The most well-known basketball videographer slash gym teacher in the state of North Carolina and Georgia. Tony Bruton is joining us. No picture, no video, just Tony Bruton.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. What's going on, Brute?
Man, you already know, man. Just working hard, trying to be a great dad, trying to be a great husband.
Hey, aren't we all? All right, so
but not all of us, but yeah, most of us.
Ooh. All right, so of course, Tony, we're going to get a little bit of your background here. When did you start Bucket Reel?
I started Bucket Reel, I want to say September of 2016.
Right, and of course, we talked about this before, but why did you feel like it was necessary?
I just really felt like it was necessary mainly because there was a ton of talent, at the time, 2015, 2016 in Eastern North Carolina in general. And me personally, I kind of got to a point where I was tired of watching, highlights from it seemed like almost every area code except the 252 and I honestly the 828 as well, but I didn't live in the 828, but I did live in the 252 at the time, and I just felt like there was enough talent in that area to where we deserve the exact same type of coverage. So I hit up my guy Webb and asked him about a couple of camera recommendations or whatnot, and he put me on to a bunch of different cameras that he thought was pretty good, and I ended up purchasing one, and then I just got out there and started filming on my own and learning on the job.
Right, of course, since then, you've had a lot of success and you made a lot of connections and stuff like that. Talk to us about your latest event that you're about to have, the 919 versus the 252.
Well, I gotta correct you. It's the 252 versus 919, but basically it's a very great opportunity, for the schools in 252 that don't typically get opportunities to play top tier teams or teams that are at least considered top tier teams, from other areas. It's very, very rare that they're able to schedule those teams, especially in their backyard, and on top of that, there's a ton of conversation, a ton of debates of whatnot, to whether or not who's the best area code. So it's really something that just really came together like really, really fast. It's an idea that me and Coach Dave over at Washington have been talking about for over a year almost, but things really started to come into fruition, back in about January or February, and we reached out to a bevy of teams, and you guys saw the lineup. We're excited.
Here is that lineup, by the way, if you want to see it. If you're watching us on YouTube, first of all, thank you very much for watching. Of course, just break down these teams and why you feel that these teams are going to showcase their area codes in the best way possible at an event that is expected to be really, really good.
Could you do me a favor? If possible, because I'm at the moment. You remember, I don't know how this is gonna sound to the fans, but I'm driving. I don't want to look down at my phone, and at the same time, I'm trying to make sure I'm, paying attention to what's going on at the same time. So I remember all the teams, but I feel like I'm gonna leave a team off. So I know Rose is in it for sure. Rose has two guards that I believe are going to be dynamite next year. Kevion Waller and Montez Green. I think those two kids are gonna put on the show, all of next season. We have Henderson Collegiate, They have Javante Waverly, who, if you don't know who he is by now, then and you're in North Carolina, then you've probably been living under a rock, or you just don't care about basketball that's outside of your area. If you
Fact.
don't know who that is,
Fact.
they also have Akirus Holden. He's a jumping jack. They had a kid that was on the JV this past year, Gerard Small, who's pretty solid. He's about 6'4", 6'5". Got a little bit of weight to him. He can play. They had a pretty good ball handler on their JV that I think he spent time on JV and the varsity a little bit. TJ Ragland. He's going to be a year older next year for them, so that's going to be a really, really good team. And on top of that, they also have a kid that's pretty much started for them all 4 years. In Davon Allen, who's also going to be a big time contributor for them too. So Henderson Collegiate's going to be a dynamite team. We have Hertford County. I mean, that's going to be a dark horse team next year as well. Out of 252, Keiondre Rodgers. Most people know who he is. That kid's he's been productive since he was in 7th grade. He first put himself on the map. Playing with the team out of a Husky team force. Going around to a bunch of different local tournaments and just absolutely dominating. And I filmed the game of him when he was in 8th grade, and he had near 50 points. In a very competitive middle school game down in Williamston. And his freshman year at Hertford County, he led them to the 4th round. This past year, I believe they made it to the 3rd round before they bowed out. So yeah, he's going to be a junior next year. His younger brother is going to be a freshman next year. Keiondre Rodgers, he's really good, considered one of the top point guards in the 8th grade class in North Carolina. Not Devin, but Dalen Askew. He's about 6'2", 6'3", can shoot the ball really well. He's long, gets to the rim. Let me see, who else have we got? Who have I named?
Washington. You need Washington.
You got Rose, Henderson Collegiate, Hertford County. You can go on ahead to
Washington. I mean, Omarion Blunt is going to put on a show next year as well. I personally expect him to average anywhere from 20 to 25 points per game. With Rashad Smith graduating. Then you have Jeremy and Jamari Bryant, twins. Both of them are about 6'5", can score the ball. Both athletic, both can knock down shots. Incoming freshman, Jaylen Lampkins, who put on the show at the middle school Fab 40. He's obviously, I don't know how much he's going to contribute next year, but at the same time, I think he's going to have a chance to do something. They also have Terry Moore, who's going to be a rising junior, who's probably going to fill in at the point guard position. I mean, he's strong, about 6 feet. Looks like he's about 185. Just powerfully built. Great court vision. Can shoot the 3.
Right.
Let's see. We have 2 more teams, right? South Central. Jameer Wright, as a freshman.
Yep.
Was outstanding.
Yes, he was.
Knocking down shots. Getting to the rim, doing a little bit of everything. The point guard was also a freshman. Dalen Brown. At one point, he was averaging about 8 assists a game as a freshman. Let's see, who else did they have? Moses Tufts, was a sophomore this past season. He was really good for them. Tremaine Pugh, he's about 6'7". He can slide him, anywhere from the 3 to the 5. He can knock down threes from the perimeter. He can rebound. He can get over the rim. So South Central is absolutely going to be a team nobody wants to see, for sure.
Very well coached.
And yes, Chris Cherry is amazing. So honestly, all of these teams, the coaches are great, man. Like, even outside of just basketball in general, like, just having conversations with the coaches from the 919, like, those guys were also excited about the opportunity to come down to Eastern North Carolina and and give these quote unquote smaller schools a chance to play against them and potentially build up their max preps rankings or whatever the case may be. So I'm excited.
You did
And
leave 1-2-5-2.
Anthony Atkinson, if you're listening, I didn't win. Is a stud, 6'9", can shoot the ball. Has good touch. Around the basket. Strong inside, can rebound, has long arms. Nas Blackston can jump out the gym, get to the rim whenever he wants to. Plays really aggressive. Point guard. My goodness, what is he? 6'6", 6'7". He can do a little bit of everything. They have a shooter that can, shoot the cover off the ball. So yes, Wilson Prep's they're gonna be good too. So no lemons at all. And that's just the 252 side. So
Yeah, you ain't even named the other side.
yeah, I haven't even named anybody for 919. So yeah, I don't know if I have the breath for it, but every 919 team is absolutely loaded too. Lewisburg has Elijah Jameson. I mean,
Yep.
enough said.
Right.
He can flat out fill it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, two of our WJG coverage area teams are also in this event, the Goldsboro Cougars and the Wayne Country Day Chargers. Kyle, you want to break them down a little bit?
Wayne Country Day, of course, they're loaded with talent. Keeping Longhorn, he led them back to the state championship in his first year. We got Jaden Cooper, who I think is one of the most underrated players in the state. Can absolutely fill it up. Mike Best, who's a blur with the ball. Carlos Raven, who is kind of their do-it-all type of guy in that backcourt. Vontae Hutcherson, 6'7", very strong, good senior prospect going to a senior year. Jordan Cooper, of course, is one of the best shooters in the area. Goldsboro, when you look at it, you got loaded middle school class coming in 2024.
Yes.
Then you have Xavier Atkinson, who was the conference player of the year last year. Second team All WJG. Super long arms, super bouncy, and when he gets upset, he'll let you know. Then you look at Corey Faison, the freshman, who has a chance to be one of the best players I think to come from Goldsboro. Depending on how his development goes, but he's already so amazing as it is right now. And then of course they got Jakir Fowler, who I like as a great supporting cast with the shooters. And then Coach Crow, man, he's amazing at getting the best out of his kids and really does a good job of communicating and getting the best out of each one of his guys.
Absolutely. That's a really good breakdown there, Kai. Of course, Word of God, who's also in this event, has another player who was in our area this past season. As a matter of fact, the WJG Sports Player of the Year, the first one ever, BJ Freeman. Of course, announcing that he's returning to Word of God, so he will be back along with a great group, Hoboy King.
Who's actually a 252 kid.
Yep, knockdown shooter. Khalil Marshall, who's played, when he played, he gave a lot of big minutes to Word of God throughout the entire year. Of course, Heritage will be featuring Lucas Taylor, who's one of the top rising prospects in 2021. He's been
one of the hottest prospects.
Oh, yeah. Big and plenty. And Southern Durham also looking pretty good, right, Brute?
Oh yeah. They're going to be returning Quentin Richardson, goes by TJ Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
At one point his freshman season, he was over at Weldon High School, and as a freshman he was averaging well over 20 a game. That was his freshman season. This past season he had a pretty good year. I mean, he had one play. My goodness, I want to say it was against Northwood. I'm pretty sure they were only up about 2 points, and he got a fast break, and it was about 30 seconds left in the game, and he bounced it to himself and dunked over a guy.
Oh, wow.
So, yes, that happened in a game. So, yeah, he's going to be a senior. You got J. Brian Harvey, Jamarcus Nance, the two freshmen they had this past year. I think they're going to be pretty big contributors. They had another junior who's going to be a rising senior that was really athletic, dunked on a couple of people last year. That's going to be a really, really solid team.
They're
So
very well coached as well. Their
yes,
coaches
Motley's amazing.
yeah, their coaches help with the JoCo All-Star Combine, of course,
Right.
and real good people. Of course, this event, just how did it all come together, and who were some of the people that really brought this event into focus over the last year or so?
Um, well, yeah, again, me and Coach Dave, and when I say Coach Dave, I'm talking about Dave Alawalt from over at Washington, Pack.
Uh-huh.
You know, we, we've always been friends. Even back, to his Ocracoke days when he was over at Ocracoke High School, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's just something we've always talked about. And once he got the job at Washington, and once things started falling into place, and we started realizing that a lot of these teams were going to have these dates open, it just really started working itself out more than anything.
Right.
So
And of course, it's not the only event that you have really helped put together, or at least been a part of putting together. The Fab 40 also as well. I know you and Charles Clark and Jay Anderson have done such a great job with not just the high school event, but a middle school event that was at Wayne Country Day this past February. What was the process of that as well?
Well, the high school camp is more so Charles event. That's an event that me and Jay, like, we definitely all team together and make sure it's as successful as possible. But either way, the process is pretty much the same. There's a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails being sent out. And obviously we have to watch a lot of basketball. Because and in order to get the college coaches in the building, they have to know that, hey, there's going to be some kids, at this particular event, that could absolutely help our program out, and not even just down the road. I'm talking immediately, so we have to watch these kids closely, and try our best, to get the best kids that haven't really had the opportunity that they deserve yet. You know, we have to watch and invite them, and they have to come in and perform. So yeah, I mean, the main thing that goes into it is watching games and sending out the invitations, and everything else kind of speaks for itself. We don't do a ton of marketing and things of that nature when it comes to Fab 40. Again, it speaks for itself. Players come in there, and a lot of times they don't really you know have much going for them as far as their recruitment goes. You go in there and you play well, and carry yourself a certain way, then the things will happen.
Absolutely, very sound advice. I think as well, really the middle school event. How fun it was it like for you and Kai? I guess I can ask this question to you as well because you were there as well. Just how fun was it, and who are some of the kids we can look out for and know that were at that camp? I know you got plenty of names.
Oh man, too many names. And Kai, once again, I do want to make sure I thank you again for your help. Because believe it or not, that was my first event, like under my name per se. And Kai was one of the first people there, and he knew his way around already, and yeah, he just made the whole process of getting everything set up so much smoother. So I definitely appreciate that.
For sure, man.
Yeah. So, but as far as like players that were at the event, if that's what I was asked,
Yes,
um,
please.
I don't want to speak too soon because the kids are in middle school, but at the same time, there were some kids that I personally feel like they're going to be, big time contributors from day one, at the varsity level in high school. Um, One of those kids being Ari Fulton,
Yeah.
from Southview Middle School, which is over in Hope Mills, North Carolina, not too far from Fayetteville.
Mhm.
Man,
Yeah. Yeah.
he, man, I
That
mean,
was my first name.
he showed he showed everything at that camp. I mean, he's about 6'5". I mean, long arms. He showed the ability to handle the ball. He showed the ability to, knock down the three. He defended all 5 positions. Could move his feet, block shots. Could pick your pocket. I mean, court vision. It was. I mean, he looked at times. He looked like an NBA 2K, character. You know, and yeah, he was really good. Who else? We had Alex Moy from Aiden Middle School.
Yeah.
He was really good, especially defensively. He led the camp in steals by a wide margin. I believe he had around 14 steals total in 3 games. Which is absurd. Considering at Fab 40 we really were stressing defense, and at the same time we were stressing taking care of the ball. So yeah, his numbers looked outrageous. 14 steals, and I think the second highest was like 4.
Now, and then also the thing I was crazy about Alex too was probably the amount of offensive rebounds he got at just 6 feet.
Yes, he was everywhere, all over the glass. I mean, just physically, that kid is way ahead of the curve. Especially for a middle schooler. So once he gets to high school, I fully expect him to be a varsity contributor. Derek Benbow.
That's Leonte Moore's little brother, correct?
Yes, Leonte Moy over at Farmville Central. That's his younger brother.
But you were talking Derek Benbow?
Yes, Derek Benbow. He played at Brewster Middle School, which is I don't want to say the name of the city because I don't want to get it wrong, but I know it's in the Jacksonville area. But he was really good. He's about 6 feet, 6'1". Got nice muscle to him. Really, really fast with the ball. Really, really strong, quick. And he made a couple of plays where when you saw it happen, all you could do is just look around at everyone else and like, hey, did that just happen? Like, did he just do that? I mean, his imagination with the basketball, it was very, very, very fun to see and very fun to watch. Who else? I mean, Jaylen Lampkins was phenomenal. I mean, he rarely turned the ball over. He was getting into the paint, making great passes, making everybody on his team better. Yeah, he was phenomenal. That's the kid. He played at PS Jones down in Little Washington.
Yes.
Yes, it was a lot of players. Oh my goodness, Zeus Batts was. If I'm not mistaken, he was the youngest All-Star. He was the only All-Star that wasn't in 8th grade.
So.
Yeah, so Zeus Batts, kid from Wilmington. I mean, excellent ball handler. I mean, when I say excellent, I mean this kid can handle the ball. I'm confident that this kid right now could probably play, 3A, 4A ball and run a team, and he would not look like he's in 7th grade. That kid can flat out handle the basketball, and same as Lampkins. Like he made everybody better. I mean, he scored it when he needed to score. He dropped dimes when he needed to drop dimes. I mean, he pick you up full court and defends you and turn you. I mean, it was an absurd amount of talent, in the building. Everyone was there. Every kid that signed up showed up. The kids were all listening to what the coaches had to tell them. They were playing defense. They were communicating. They were passing the ball. So I had a good time. I know the kids had a good time. Even the kids that didn't necessarily fare well or play like they usually play, they had a good time as well. And a lot of those kids to this day, they're still messaging me and Charles and Jay and the Fab 40 account and just letting us know like, yes, man, I really appreciated that invitation. And since then, I've been working hard on my game to get better and things of that nature. So overall, I think it was a success.
I think the best thing about that event was the fact that it was an eye-opener for a lot of guys.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, there were kids there that, averaged in middle school over 30 a game and, came to the camp and, if I'm not mistaken, didn't score a point. So, yeah, it was definitely an eye-opener for some of the kids, like just getting a chance to see what the talent is like outside of their city, or their area. So, again, overall, I thought it was a great event. I thought it went well, and I'm excited about once everything blows over with the pandemic and everything else that's going on in the world. I'm excited to get back in the gym and have another event similar to that one.
I think the best thing about the Fab 40 is not only just the basketball; it's that you get taught things that are like the kids get taught things about everyday life and like how you have to conduct yourself, character building, what's next after basketball. These are things that you guys have tried to teach them while also improving their skills on the court, like be just as good on the court as or off the court as you are on the court. So that's for me why I think the Fab 40 is just an incredible event, both at the high school and middle school level. And I think it's good that the three of you, and I mean you, Jay, and Charles, really teach them the right way. I think that's, for me, the best thing about the Fab 40.
Well, I appreciate that, man. That's definitely something that I'm trying to be, as intentional as possible about, because my day job is as a school teacher,
Yep.
and just the things that I see from day to day, especially from kids in general that look like me and go through the same things that I went through when I was also a kid. You know, um, Kids need to know, like, hey, this is what it is. Like, if you conduct yourself this way, if you make these kind of moves, if you say these types of things, especially to adults and just in general, then this is what's going to happen, down the road. So we definitely take every opportunity that we can to just give out information, good information, and make sure kids, parents, family members, and anyone involved, with these kids that that play sports, make sure they know, that the world we live in is, it's a very trying world and it's a very evil world, and in order to be successful, there are certain things you have to know are going to come your way, and you have to be prepared for them, and know how to handle yourself. You also have to know how to paint the right picture of yourself. You don't want to have any type of you don't want to have any type of likeness about you where people don't really know the real you, if that makes sense.
It
You
makes
always want,
well,
yeah. So again, that's something we try to be as intentional as possible about it, and you know, it's been working out for the most part. We still have kids that make some really bad decisions, but it's life. People make bad decisions, every day, and hopefully it's not a decision that's so bad that you can't recover. But you know, at the end of the day, we love these kids, man, and if we can give a word of advice and if we can change the life of one kid, then that's a success. One kid is better than no kids at all.
very well said. You, Brutus, by the way, for people listening on YouTube, Brutus is driving home getting something to eat, which is okay. But the transition, your basketball career, uh, obviously uh, you went to Kinston High School. You're from the city of Kinston. I know you're very proud to be from the city of Kinston. But your basketball journey is a very unique one. So explain to us about the story of your basketball journey.
Well, it's pretty simple. And before I tell you guys, I used to be mad about it, but I'm not anymore. But so yeah, I went to Kinston High. Um, my ninth grade year, I did not try out, and the reason I did not try out is because I knew I wasn't going to make the team. I was just real. I was real with myself. I said, yeah, there's no way I'm making this team. The JV. It was ridiculous. If I'm not mistaken, the JV hadn't lost in years. And there were a couple of freshmen that I came in with that I knew for a fact were absolutely better than me, so I didn't even bother. So but when 10th grade came around, I thought I had a shot. So tried out, didn't make it. 11th grade, tried out, didn't make it. 12th grade, tried out, didn't make the team. Now, I personally felt like by my senior year, I absolutely deserved the spot. But again, it is what it is. All the guys that did make the team were, really, really good players. And getting cut from Kinston back then wasn't even it's not something that's embarrassing or that's terrible, because there were players that didn't make the team or didn't play at Kinston High pretty much every year that would transfer to other schools or walk on to colleges after they graduate and have great careers. So there were very good players every year that never put on a Kinston jersey. So again, I wasn't even I'm not even upset about it because I understand. But yeah, to cut this story so it won't be too long and lengthy. After my senior year of high school, I continued playing ball. I played for a summer team. Back then it was called like the Salvation Army Heat or whatnot. And we had a couple of tournaments that we played in. We played in state games. I just pulled in front of somebody out here, y'all. I'm doing terrible. But I'm sorry. But so yeah, I played for a little summer league team or whatnot, and we had this tournament at the Salvation Army in Kinston, Salvation Army gym, and there was a guy there that you know he was in the basketball circle at the time, and he knew a college coach, and he saw me play, and he told me after a game that I had that he 100% felt that I could play in college, and he made a call and got me a tryout, over to Lenore Community College, and the rest is history. Went over there, made the team, ended up starting a couple of games, had a really good freshman season, um, and then after I finished up at Lenore, I ended up getting recruited over to St. Andrews University, and yeah, that's pretty much how the story goes.
It's an incredible story. I really think it's one of the more unique college basketball stories I've ever. And I know you've told the story to a lot of people, and people need to know, like, not only are you nice with it on the camera, but you're nice with it actually on the court too. I know you mess with these kids a little bit, telling them that you need to check yourself, right?
Yeah, I still can play. Granted, I don't have the same wind that I used to have. So if I'm gonna hop on the court with all these kids that I'm talking trash to, I'm gonna be real smart about it. I'm gonna play one game, maybe two, and then call it a day before I completely run out of gas and get embarrassed. So,
Nah, bro, you gotta do it old school and play half court.
oh no, I can still play full court. But I'm definitely gonna keep playing full court for at least the next 3 or 4 years, and maybe I'll bow out after that. But yeah, I can definitely still play for
No
sure.
doubt. Um, go ahead, Kyle.
Bro, I ask, I always ask this to people who are from Kinston. I've been covering Kinston for a year or so. It was always my question of why is Kinston basketball so good? Like, what in your opinion, why is Kinston basketball so good?
I personally believe Kinston basketball is as good as it is because most of those people that come out of Kinston, they all give back. Um, like even the guys that aren't necessarily superstars or things of that nature, when they graduate from high school, even they give back too. All of those guys give back. All of those guys use basketball as a means to meeting people and socializing and things of that nature. So it's kind of hard to grow up in Kinston and not be a good basketball player.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just start naming names. I mean, these are probably guys you haven't heard of, but everyone around Kinston that's around the basketball circle would know these guys. For example, Michael Small, is a guy that I grew up with. He's a year ahead of me, but he's always been an amazing shooter, and I played with him when I was 14 and under rec basketball, and he was amazing, at the time. And he's a guy that's in Kinston and works with a lot of kids and has come back and is giving back. Curtis Hines, was one of the better players to come through Kinston High and helped take Kansas to the state championship back in 2007. Then he went to Lenore Community College and they won the conference and went to the national tournament. Then he transferred and went to Shaw University. And had a couple of tryouts with the G League. You know, he's one of the main guys that trains in Kinston now. You know, so he's back in Kinston and he's training. You know, obviously Jerry Stackhouse, you know, he gives back. You know, and before he got the Vanderbilt job, you know, he had the Stackhouse Elite AAU team. Uh, Brandon, I mean, he's given back by, you know, pretty much remodeling, you know, Martin C. Freeman Gym. You know, and now they have, you know, the leagues there and whatnot. So I mean, almost all of those guys give back, and it's not just your average Joe, you know, that's training and teaching these kids the game of basketball. Like the people that are teaching those kids the game of basketball are great basketball players
Yep.
at almost every gym that you go to. So by the time most kids in Kinston are 7 years old, 8 years old, I mean, they know the game. You know, they're more than likely their dad, you know, was a guy that played and was really good. It wasn't some average basketball player. More than likely their mom. You know, even if the mom didn't play, she probably dated someone that played. You know, or married someone that played ball, and she knows the game. So, you know, again, it's really hard to be from Kinston and not at least have a very good understanding and knowledge of the game of basketball. So that's what I think it is, and it's a very unique situation. And you know, I have a hard time ever thinking Kinston's not going to be good because of that.
Mm. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very well said. Also, we got to shout out Curtis. It is his birthday today. Happy birthday, Curtis.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Lucy.
Yeah. Of course. Go ahead, Kyle. I'm sorry.
Right. Now, of course, I mean, you know, I believe Josh Dawson, I believe he's came back to coach, correct, there?
Yes, he's the coach over at Rochelle Middle School.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think Kinston does a really great job of celebrating the guys who, even though they weren't NBA players, you know, I still, whenever I would talk about basketball in Kinston, people would still talk about the guys who didn't make it high Division One or things like that. They would talk about those guys who were D2 or they were, you know, a JUCO guy, and they held them in very high regard. So I think they also, you know, that's also my personal take. They have a respect for their history as well.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, there are plenty of not just Division One talent, D2 talent. There's just talent across the board, every collegiate level that play or at least are from the city of Kinston. And of course, I mean, doesn't it have like the highest rate per capita of producing NBA players?
Yes, they do. I don't remember the exact number, but it's
like one out
ridiculous.
Of three or something.
I think it's 52.7 or something.
It's still so ridiculous. I mean, if the true NBA fan knows how great Kinston is at producing players from the city, and it's not just like your Reggie Bullocks, your Brendan Ingrams, your Stackhouses. I mean, and even all the way back down the line, there's a lot of Kinston in the biggest basketball league in the world.
Right. You know, so yeah, man, I don't know, man. Even on top of everything I just said, man, I don't know. Maybe there is something in the water. I don't know. It might be. I don't know, but it's amazing. It's honestly amazing.
Then also too, like I always say too, the gyms are always open. It's hard to find a playground or a gym that doesn't have a basketball hoop.
Oh yes, I mean, even with that, when gyms aren't open, there's so many outside courts. It's almost impossible. At least when I was coming up, it was impossible to not find a game where you could just play pickup ball. You know, like I said, it's very unique, and it's definitely something that I cherished, you know, growing up, you know, and it made it easy for me to fall in love with the game of basketball. And you know, that's something that Kinston is always going to have. And again, I think Kinston's always going to be a good team, even when they don't have size or height. They're going to have a bunch of guards that can absolutely play. So
saying is Kinston tough.
Yeah.
And it's a way of life out there. But to continue, you transitioned, of course, to the state of Georgia and covering high school basketball out there. What was that transition like, and what are some great things you could tell us about how incredible basketball is in that state?
I'm probably going to make some people upset with what I'm about to say.
No, Talk your talk, bro.
I not anything in in that regards, but I personally do not see that big of a difference. Between Georgia and North Carolina basketball. Um, I will say the main difference is Georgia is bigger. Like the schools are bigger, there are more players. So they're absolutely always going to have more guys that sign to colleges, things of that nature. But even on top of that, Georgia media is a lot more progressive than it is in North Carolina. It's very hard for me to go to a game and find a game in Georgia where there's not at least 7 or 8 camera guys on the baseline. I mean, everywhere you go, like every game just gets insane amounts of coverage. I mean, ridiculous coverage every game. Even the middle school games I went to. I mean, there were five, 6 camera guys. A lot of entrepreneurs. Starting their companies where they're doing articles and write ups, things of that nature. And all of those guys are friends. They all work together, and it's just amazing how Georgia in general, how all of the media guys here work together. So I think that's the main difference. I feel like Georgia really has North Carolina beat when it comes to just unity in general, and coming together. All the media companies coming together and working together, and for the same goal. Making sure the kids get the opportunities that they deserve. But outside of that, the basketball on the court, I don't think I I personally just don't think that it's that much of a difference. Yeah, I don't think there's too big of a difference.
Well, it's kind of it's kind of easy to say that considering how big the state is. I do agree with that. I feel like just like the state of Georgia in general, just like there's so much talent in that area, and it's obviously it's not just basketball, but I mean basketball is very big in that state. Uh, but really, just the just the entire atmosphere out there is really good, at least from afar, at least in my opinion. But I don't think there's I don't really have what you think. I think it's very well said, Bruce.
I appreciate it. I'm trying to make sure I'm not saying anything incriminating while also being honest. So
No, hey, not
Hey, anything is incriminating
yeah.
if you have an opinion.
very true.
um, to continue a little bit, what have been some of the best games and moments you've seen, not just in North Carolina, but in Georgia, if you'd like to include those as well?
Oh, that's easy. That's real easy.
Oh,
So, McEachern High School versus Holy Spirit Prep.
oh,
Um, Man, like in that game in Georgia, there was Sharif Cooper
uh-huh.
and
Yep,
Isaac Okoro
yep.
for McEachern, and then Holy Spirit Prep had Anthony Edwards. And
And I know how big of a fan you are of Anthony Edwards. I know that.
I'm a huge Anthony Edwards fan,
Yes.
and one of the reasons that was my first time seeing him play, and yeah, that left a very huge impression on me because at this point I'd seen Isaac Okoro play, and Isaac Okoro is a special basketball player, and I'm used to seeing Isaac Okoro when he guards people. Well, the term I'm about to use is the term I got from my guy Steve Mims. Like shout out to Steve Mims. But Isaac Okoro, quote unquote, he turns the water off when he guards you. Like you dudes do not score on that guy. You know,
Really good. I need to use that more. That's an incredible saying. I like that.
yeah, gotta give all credit to Steve Mims. But Anthony Edwards in this particular game, it was very obvious. There's nobody in the country that can stop that guy. When he comes to play basketball, he just absolutely cannot be stopped. And yeah, he's one of the best players I've seen at the high school level. That guy, he's amazing. Isaac Okoro, he's amazing. Sharif Cooper, I mean, he was amazing. So yeah, that game, that's definitely one of the best games I've seen in Georgia. Um, in North Carolina, Yeah, I saw
I
so
had
many
plenty,
games in North Carolina. That's
I had
just
plenty of choices.
yeah. I probably have about 10.
If you can,
Um,
could you don't have to name them all, but could you name a few that you could think of off the top, like immediately?
yes. So Nigel Neat Langley. Um,
North Pitt. Yep.
yes, her senior year. Unfortunately, she kind of did what she wanted to. You know,
Yeah,
in regionals against my hometown.
that was nuts.
But
That
yeah,
was crazy.
that was a special game to watch from her. In regionals. Michaela Boykin in the state championship game
Uh-huh.
her senior year. Um, a regular season game between Northampton County and Riverside outside, in Williamston.
Uh-huh.
That was JJ Miles' senior year. Him and Jadakiss Bonds went at it in a double overtime game.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
That game was special. Um, Kenston versus Green Central back in 2017. Um,
The one
in the
at Grayson?
in the third round over at
Oh,
Green Central. I mean, no one knew who was going to win that game until right towards the end. When Green Central got a key steal and went up. I think they went up 4, and then they went to regionals afterwards. So that was huge. Man, it's been so many games. Kobe White and Greenfield versus Garner at the John Wall.
yep.
Man, it's
That's
it's
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, man. It's I've seen so many games. I can't even narrow it down. But the Georgia, that was easy. The McEacher and Holy Spirit Prep, that's the best game I've seen in Georgia. But as far as everything else, in North Carolina, it's very hard to narrow it down. Matter of fact, the best game I've seen in North Carolina was a middle school game.
You know,
I'm serious. Riverside Middle School versus Hertford Middle School in 2018 was unreal. Keiondre Rodgers scored 48. Avion Penner had 40. I think it was a double overtime. They were playing for the number one spot in the conference. So yeah, that game
here's
it
what
was
I
crazy.
here's what I will say. I know, I know you are very big on middle school prospects, and it's really like a lot of the prospects you've seen in the past have like really come to the forefront now as people like see them more. But like really, middle school ball in this area, if I found out anything from being here in the 252, I found out middle school basketball is like super different. People really love their middle school basketball out here.
Yeah, man, they do, man, because I mean, it's the stars of tomorrow.
It's not just the
And
girls too.
yes, oh man, I mean, I forgot all about the Hope Middle School versus not Hope Middle School, but Welcome Middle School versus Farmville Middle Girls
Oh my!
Championship.
I remember I watched that video on repeat. Like that game was, and the amount of players that are going to be stars coming into high school or are already stars,
Right.
incredible.
So it's just been so many games, man. But again, middle school basketball is definitely on the rise, especially in Eastern North Carolina. I think a lot of that attribution has to definitely go to Lamont Taylor over at Get Me Recruited.
Uh-huh.
Because now a lot of these kids are really working harder year round, and a lot of kids know that there's more to it than just the middle school season now. And I honestly believe that camp is one of the bigger reasons why, especially in Eastern North Carolina. A lot of the kids I speak to, even the little girls and the little boys, they tell me all the time, I hope I get an invitation to the Get Me Recruited Hot 100. It's amazing, like how just knowing that someone's watching you and just the coverage in general, can really incite a kid to work harder and do better in school and things of that nature. So yeah, companies like Get Me Recruited and even other companies that are having camps and events in general, I honestly believe they have a lot to do with just the rise and the elevation of all of the talent that we see at the middle school level.
Go ahead, Kyle. Did you have something?
Right. I was going to ask Brute, you know, How important does it, kind of to you to kind of feel like the representative and kind of the voice for kind of the 252 basketball?
Um, I don't really consider myself the voice per se.
I would say you're the
Um,
voice, but one of the biggest voices, I would say.
I mean that's an honor if people do feel that way, about me. I mean that's pretty cool. But at the same time, it's not a goal of mine. Like, but if I do get to the point where people like really really value my opinion, then I'm definitely gonna use it. To try to help as many kids as possible, especially from the 252 area code. Like I help all the area codes, but obviously I'm probably gonna be more inclined to do work and events and things of that nature for the 252 first. But
Right. And when I say that, though, I kind of say that because, a lot of times, I see you sticking up for some of the 252 teams because a lot of times people don't feel like the 252 and the Eastern North Carolina kids can play because they're not 4A or they're not 3A and playing in Raleigh.
yeah, I mean that's definitely a real thing, and I get it. Every area code, every city thinks they're the best at sports or whatever the case may be. But we I'm from here. And just with the connections I built over the years, with coaches and players and just things of that nature. Um, I know that it's hard, you know, to build a program. I know that it's hard, to win games, consistently, from year to year. And it's even harder, especially for kids, in the 252 area code and, and just east of I-95. It's harder to be seen. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'll tell this lady thank you for letting me out of this parking lot. But yeah, it's just hard, man. Like I get it. One thing that I try to tell kids, especially from Eastern North Carolina, that aren't feeling too good about their recruitment or things of that nature. I say, look, you got to look at it this way. You might be better, than some of these guys that play in the 919 or 828, 704, 336. But you also have to understand that most coaches and most people in general, they're gonna go with what's convenient. If there's a kid that you're better than, but not way better than, it doesn't make sense, for a Greensboro area school to drive past the kid that could probably end up just as good as you, to come recruit you. Another thing I also say is, I know a lot of kids like to send messages and emails to schools in California and Kentucky or whatnot, Division One schools, and not one North Carolina school even though their name. You got to ask yourself: is this coach really going to wake up out of their California king size bed and say, you know what, I feel like flying today, to the 252 to go recruit this kid that I've never heard of? It's just not realistic. So yeah, just trying to make sure kids know like what to look for, what's realistic, what's possible, and what it's going to take. I feel like there's not enough of that information in the 252 in general, but I feel like we're getting to a point where kids and parents are starting to understand what it is they have to do. And on top of that, I'm going to do everything I can in my power, to make sure those kids can get those opportunities and make sure they know which opportunities are legit.
Absolutely, very well said. I think really just knowing where you can get recruited to and knowing where you can like what fits like your level of play and stuff like that. Like kids have to know that Division One isn't always going to be like the Rose Garden. It's gonna there are
Right.
places that actually want to recruit you that you have to take seriously, and you can't blow off those coaches. Like you can't
Right.
just like push them to the side. Like you're absolutely right. I really like kids got to know like there are people like they have to recruit their own state, and California itself is big. I mean, so they're going to be focusing more on that. So you got to focus on at least in-house first before building and trying to get to like that Bullard, North Carolina and stuff like that. So I really feel as if like kids got to know where the right schools are and who wants the most. And those that you should be looking at, as opposed to a school where it's like 3,000 miles.
Right.
It's like when you go car shopping, man. You gotta understand what you're looking for. Are you looking for the Benz? Do you want to go get the Benz? All right. Well, the Benz is going to cost you $700 a month plus a down payment. Or you want to come over here and check out this Altima. This Altima is going to run you $300 a month, and there's no down payment. And you're going to pay it off fast. It's all about understanding, what you want, and then you can kind of go from there.
Right.
Of course. Did you have something else, Bruce?
No, I was just saying, but for the most part, I definitely appreciate that question, and just if anyone feels like I'm the voice of the 252, then I appreciate it. so yeah,
Well,
that's that.
I feel like you're the voice of 252 because anytime something comes up, you always be like, if this kid claims 252, I will tell you everything.
Come on, man.
Hey.
What was it? I believe it was Jawan Carr. Somebody said he was from the 910 or something like that. You was like, nah, we can trade that out for a 252.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Josh from over at Northern Nash. There was a debate if he was from Raleigh or not. So
Right.
yeah, that kid's great too, by the way.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of like more middle school level, I know there are some kids in that area that like you have told me about, and not just that area, but like all over the 2-5 that are like ready to contribute as well. Like the ones you mentioned earlier, and even a few out like Edgecombe County. I know you've mentioned the middle schools out there have some big time talent as well. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this class of 2024 is going to do, because I mean on the boys and girls side, there are a lot of prospects I see that could start right away on some of the best programs in my area, at least, and in the WJG area, of course.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man.
Yeah, Bruton knows exactly what's going to happen. He's got himself a big spreadsheet of prospects all the way to 2050. The kids who haven't even been born yet.
Come on, man.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, you putting my secrets out, man. But it's all good.
2050, man. He already knows. He's living in 2050.
Hey,
we're living in 2020.
Hey, what'd you say about Bruton? You said he gonna have you driving out to Simpson, North Carolina to go see this kid in middle school.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Hey, but that's the thing, though.
But he's right, though.
I don't mind it because he works hard and he likes to put on.
Exactly, facts.
When you work that hard and you're that good at your job, man, you kind of call the shots.
Brute gotta flex some more, man. Like sometimes he might, but he gotta let you flex more, man.
Honestly, I try to stay away from that, because legitimately, like everything I do, man, I don't do anything for myself. Like, granted, I understand that I have to build a brand, but at the same time, I'm legitimately all about trying to help these kids out. So I'm not trying to find a meal ticket or flex and say that I did this, or I did that. I just want to give kids an opportunity. So
100%.
so yeah, I just don't think I need to flex about anything, because I mean it ain't about me at the end of the day.
No doubt.
Of course.
By the way, I think that quote from earlier is I know you say Kai, that he's like the voice of the 252. Like really, he could be the voice of Kinston. Like he like jokingly says every kid is from Kinston,
Yeah, that's just a running joke between me and Charles.
Hashtag
yeah, Come on, man. Like, if there's a kid that I see is really good, and I know Charles is going to see the conversation, I'm going to say that every time. But you know, I'm I love Kinston obviously, but I love Farmville the exact same. And I love Chakawinity the exact same. I love Washington the exact same. Ocracoke, Cape Hatteras, you name it. If it's a 252 city, I love all of them equally. But again, I'm from Kinston, and Charles, Fayetteville stole Coach Stackhouse away from us. Stackhouse was over at Kinston at one point, so that's where the joke started. So I basically say any kid that played at Westover is really from Kinston. So, and I just took, and I just took the joke from there. So that's what that is. If you're wondering.
I guess Kinston's doing pretty well now because now y'all have DeMarco Dunn as well. If that's the case.
Yeah, I mean we can't claim him. Yeah, he's an Arizona kid, but we're definitely going to claim him as a North Carolina kid in general. So
He's Kinston Ron. He ain't Arizona Ron. No, he's Kinston Ron.
Come on, man.
Man, that's Arizona Ron from Tucson.
Y'all trying to get me in trouble at this point.
Nah, dude. Man, we love DeMarco. DeMarco's
of course.
This
Arizona Ron from Tucson.
Man, skyrocketing up the charts like a #1 hit song right now. Man. That's
yeah.
how. And I mean, I think I really just think not just the 252, but 910 as well. Like dope. Just that this entire state, part of the state,
everything that's on the shirt.
Everything that's on this shirt right here. I can't pull it off the door, but
Well, yeah, I can't look down at my phone because I'm driving, but I'm sure it's a nice shirt.
It's a Fab 40 shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So that's a real nice shirt.
Yeah, when you see it on the YouTube channel, on our YouTube channel, you'll see my little setup where it's makeshift, but it works. I think it's pretty good. But Kai, we got anything else for Brute?
Brute, you got anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
I just want to say I appreciate you guys, and this is the longest drive home ever. But,
I was gonna say, you say you're gonna be home at 6:30. You're not home?
No, I'm not home yet. Like I said, when I first got on the phone with you guys, I made a wrong turn, and yeah.
Is it because you live in because Atlanta? I've always heard if you miss a turn, that's an extra 30 minutes onto your drive.
If you're on the highway, yes, just about. So
yeah. Thanks.
So yeah, I know where I'm at now, so I'll be fine. But overall, man, I appreciate you guys. You guys are doing a great thing. For your coverage area. I know it's a ton of kids and parents, that really appreciate everything that you guys are doing. I just hope that you guys definitely stay positive throughout everything. Continue, pushing your ideas out. Everything that you want to try out, like just give it a try. Don't think twice about it. And just keep being you, man. Keep being, positive guys. Good role models, and you guys are gonna do great things.
Thank you very much, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Anthony Bruton, a.k.a. Bucket Reel, thank you very much for joining us. Of course, I mean, I kind of just gave it away, but just in case, promote all your social media and your YouTube and all that.
My YouTube, you can find my YouTube channel by typing in youtube.com/bucketreel. You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/bucketreel, and you can find me on Instagram at bucketreel_.
Yeah.
Yes, REEL, real like the video reel.
Yes, sir. And of course, we definitely appreciate you, Brute. You really have helped showcase Eastern North Carolina. You're making the splash in the ATL and surrounding areas as well. And so, once again, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
And of course, this is the Just Like Bruddas podcast. This is episode 57. Of course. My name's Laika Abibi. That's Kai Jones on the other side in Goldsboro. You can find our podcast on 8 platforms, including Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And if you're watching on our YouTube channel, thank you so much for watching. And please subscribe. We're getting close to 1,000 subs, so get us to that milestone. Kai, you got anything else?
Nope, that's it. We're out.